Alright, and we're recording. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do this, but I need to fucking start doing something. Hopefully I will be able to kind of maintain a high enough level of energy to make sure that I'm doing these in the afternoon. Sorry, trying to back out of a very, very small Walmart parking lot. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to make sure that I pay attention to what's going on around me. But, anyway, hello. I'll try to see if I can edit this to make it a little bit better, make it a little bit less awkward. But you know what? New start. Still haven't made that many videos, so I can go ahead and kind of be a little bit relaxed on how hard I judge myself. Let me turn that off just so that way it stops talking. But anyway, I'm making this video, and I'll try to make a few other videos because I'm trying to figure out a way to hold myself accountable to getting some other shit done. Life for me has gotten kind of more difficult than I feel like it should be. Like, life is always difficult. There's only so much you can do before, shit kind of gets too much. But the situation that I and my family find ourselves in does feel a little bit more than what should be standard. Admittedly, most of it is probably self-induced. Just the long-distance consequences of previous actions, the unforeseen consequences that, you can never fully plan for. But I'm trying to work to better that, and there's been a few ideas. One, this was, from a while ago, was trying to get more involved in streaming. And you know what? It was actually going relatively well. It wasn't going so well that, I would say it was an obvious route to go, but it was going well enough that it showed promise if I was streaming more consistently, if I had more, if I could figure out what games genuinely interested me enough to where, I could just play those and talk, or, other things along those lines. Might have been able to have figured that out, but when we moved out here, I didn't have consistent enough internet, so it kind of died off. And then my podcast, that had been delayed because of moving out here and then not having the consistent enough internet to really be able to keep going. I'm going to try to get that kind of started back up, or I might try to get that started back up, just slightly under a different name, but we'll kind of see. We'll see how this goes. But I think what I'm leaning towards now, to try to help better my situation, is utilize YouTube and Rumble and possibly other platforms to hold myself accountable, to make sure that I am actively working on my book idea that I have. I've wanted to be a writer for a very long time, but I could just never get myself to just sit down and fucking write. So I'm thinking maybe, hopefully this isn't bouncing around so much that it's annoying, but maybe if I do at least one video a week kind of talking about my writing process and talking about the book idea that I have and whatnot, maybe I can, one, build up an audience and get an idea of whether or not, my book idea is actually really, really good. Kind of use this as a bit of a test. And two, have an audience that when I kind of tell them stuff that's going on in the book and ideas that I have would hold me accountable because they want to hear more. So, just kind of getting that motivation of let's kind of keep going and whatnot. And in reality, I'm aware that this video is probably not going to go over well, because a lot of audiences don't like it when regular content creators talk about money and whatnot, because it seems greedy and money grubby and stuff like that. And I totally get it. I'm not talking money because I want to make a bunch of money off of you, off of a shit product or anything. I'm talking money because I'm trying to figure out a way to better my situation, so that way I could, so that way me and my wife can live comfortably enough with my daughter and not feel like we're going to lose everything, because that is kind of the point that we're at. It is starting to get a little bit better. The job that I'm working now pays well enough that under the circumstances that we're at, we are able to get by along with the help that we have from my in-laws. And that help is just them allowing us to stay on their land. So, and then utilize some of their facilities. But generally speaking, we're, in a very uncomfortable situation, just dealing with life. Kind of got screwed over before or like midway through last year. I think we're actually coming up on the anniversary when shit hit the fan. I'm just trying to do what every other responsible father and husband would do, and that is figure out how to fix problems. And I'm leaning towards the book idea. So the book idea that I have, and they say dumb people hide their ideas. Don't tell anybody your ideas because it might get stolen. No, I'm documenting it. I'm going to document everything, not to mention the fact that I can probably share my idea. Somebody goes ahead and publishes it, or somebody goes ahead and takes some of it, but they don't actually know the whole idea or everything that's going on. And again, I'm documenting it when I post this video. If somebody does actually steal my idea, I can be like, no, they straight up stole my idea. I have the receipts. But just kind of watching a few other people do something similar to this. I think Matt Taibbi is working on a book, and he's publishing it on his Substack. Now, he has notoriety already, so it's not exactly a great direct comparison, but he's publishing on a Substack each chapter, and he's allowing, basically live critique. Oh, this road is bumpy. So that way he can make sure that, his ideas are clear and concise, as well as, using it as a way to boost his Substack and whatnot. And then there's Jorge Rivera something. I can never remember his full name, but he's the guy who's making Epic the musical, and he started kind of doing these little snippets of his progress. It's based off of the Odyssey, and starting, I think, in 2020, he was releasing these little snippets of, his progress. He didn't have a whole lot of experience in writing music or doing musicals or anything, but I think he had some theater experience, so he knew how to sing and whatnot, and he played piano. He just didn't, have music, a expert grasp of music theory, but he, had studied music, obviously. And he had started in 2020. It's now 2024. He's only halfway through working, he's only published half of it, but he's already a huge success. It's not even done, and he's basically guaranteed that his product is a success. And I'm like, maybe I can kind of take that idea and use that with my stuff. So that's kind of the direction that I want to try, and just kind of see where it goes. So the story idea that I have... Okay, cool, we're still recording. The story idea that I have is a fantasy story standard hero's journey stuff. Nothing overly special in that case. But it centers on mice, so anthropomorphic mice, the kind of fantasy world I might go into a little bit more detail, but basically it's like a post-apocalyptic, all humans died, and mice are now inheriting the earth with unknown forces that were created by men, who they call the predecessors, and they kind of are the reasons why the mice had become awakened. And then the story, like, that's the greater world. The main story actually centers on just a father. He is told that he has to go do some sort of task that seems relatively mundane in another town that's far away. He's very, very cowardly. That's like one of the key characteristics. He's a very cowardly father. Not too dissimilar from Marlin from Finding Nemo. The only difference is his kid's not going to be disabled. He's just going to be overly protective. While his kid is very adventurous, but instead of his kid being kidnapped and then he has to go save him, he's separated. He has to go off and do something because it's going to benefit his family. It's effectively a long work trip. He has to go out. He doesn't want to. He's really, really nervous, especially about leaving his kid at home. He has done relatively long work trips before, but not this long. This is like a week long that he's going to be gone for. Or at the very least, he's had situations where he's had to come home late, and he's just relied on his like neighbor to watch his kid for him. And then he goes off, and while he's going to this next town over, that's a few days away, to take care of this task, either to set up a business deal or to deliver something or whatnot. While he's away, an invading army is moving on the city that he's originally from. He finds it. The town he's going to has already been sacked and effectively razed to the ground. So he immediately turns around, tries to get back, but he's too slow. And he gets back to the city just as the siege has started. And he wants to save his son, but he's too cowardly. He attempts to save him, or to get into the city, when he's spotted by two enemy soldiers. They're chasing him, and then he, is effectively flushed down an old drain pipe, and he's separated. Being mice, need to take advantage of the fact that they're small and they can fall into, rain gutters and stuff like that. He wakes up, he managed to survive, but he doesn't know where he's at. He finds a mentor character. I'm thinking kind of like Uncle Iroh, but definitely more surly. Like, he's very much like a leave me the fuck alone, I don't know why you're here. He kind of explains the situation. He needs help, and the mentor figure is like, fine, I'll train you, because I lost my son, and I would hate it if you also had to go through what I went through. So he trains him over the course of a week, because they don't have a whole lot of time, and he's like, I can train you to be good enough, but it's going to be grueling training, and then we'll do our best to get you up to par, just so that way that you have a fighting chance. But I mean, to be honest, your chances are really fucking slim. He actually shows some talent in fighting. I have to kind of allow a little bit of leniency. And like I said, I want to have some element of kind of magic. I'm still working on that, but he'll have some sort of magical ability that allows him to learn fighting relatively quickly. Like, he's a unnaturally fast learner. He just has always been scared. That's like the main hurdle that he has, is he's always been scared, and he still has to learn how to use his abilities. He's just that's like the one advantage he has, is he's very, very quick on learning from his experiences. And his son will have that ability too. It's not like his son is going to be this, or his daughter, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. His kid is not going to be completely useless. I kind of want to have his kid be able to have finally have the chance for adventure, but it's, you know, in the city, and he's kind of helping lead the internal rebellion to kind of help keep the citizens alive and keep their spirits up. Well, then he leaves. The mentor decides to come with him because he's obviously going to need more training, and, you know, he can't just do this on his own. They travel. They get over that. They eventually make it to the city. I'm giving you like the super skinny. There's a few other things that I kind of wanted to do with this story. He gets to the city. They manage to sneak in because, you know, he grew up there. He kind of knows some of the ins and outs. They manage to sneak into the city. He finds his son. He gets ready to take his son away. When his son is like, no, I'm not leaving. Like, you know, I'm not going to abandon my home just because you want to save me. That's not fair. I have, you know, all my friends and their families and stuff like that I also want to save. And then eventually he's like, fine, we'll go ahead and coordinate something. He, you know, him learning from this mentor guy and kind of studying him, also kind of teaching him some various elements of, you know, force multiplying and tactics and whatnot. He goes ahead and works out a plan to try to like bring everybody out. It's going to involve a diversion. The whole point is just to evacuate the city, not to end the army. And then it'll eventually culminate in this big epic battle between like one of the leaders of this sieging army and a snake that has actually been kind of like one of their main siege weapons. You know, the snake's been patrolling the outside, and they've been just kind of like waiting, biding their time until they can finally, you know, do a full-on attack to completely raise the city and either take it or just completely neutralize it. This big epic battle happens, and then the once cowardly father, still absolutely terrified. His only goal this entire time has just been to save his son. He's gotten talented at fighting, but he's still very, very cowardly. Makes the ultimate sacrifice to not only save his son, but other strangers. And, you know, I haven't fully decided if I want to go all the way with killing him, but I'm leaning towards all the way with killing him because, you know, authors, I feel like, lately like to have way too happy endings, and a lot of times when they don't kill off main characters, I just feel like they're being cowardly. But I'm leaning towards he dies, but, you know, he dies finally saving his son. At the very least, he dies knowing that he can die without the regret of not saving his son. You know, he's still victorious, but it's bittersweet because now his son, you know, has to go away without his father. And then they manage to evacuate the majority of the city. Like, they don't save everybody because you can't save everybody, but they do save a lot of the children, a lot of the families and whatnot, and get out. And that could be a sequel, or it could just end there. You know, I haven't fully decided, but that's kind of the idea that I wanted to go with. And one of the reasons why I go with mice is because, one, mice are naturally very, very scared of like everything. It's also an easy way to create the full dynamic of challenge, you know, because mice are really, really small, so it's very challenging for them to just be able to do anything. That being said, studying kind of scales, because I've thought about this story for a while. I've actually even put in some research on kind of like how to make this somewhat realistic. Mice, when you go to their scale, they're effectively like, you know, like the ninjas from Naruto. Like, they can run to scale, they run at about 160 miles an hour. Like, if you scaled them up to human size, but you kept like their current rates of speed and mobility, they are able to effectively jump, I think, up to 10 stories and climb near vertical smooth, like near vertical surfaces, as long as they're, you know, not smooth. Like, they need to have handholds, but they can climb near vertical surfaces, and they can run at like 160 miles an hour. Like, they're fast. So it sets itself up for like some pretty epic fights. And then I can also have fun with like creative weapons and whatnot, like, you know, using needles as swords, you know, building up crossbows. I have to do research into whether or not they can use like miniature guns, that if they would be effective or not. But like, you know, they find an abandoned shotgun and they figure out how to, you know, set it up on like a skateboard and like be able to change aim and whatnot. And now they have a fucking siege weapon. So like, yeah, or like even anti-air, you know, riding on ravens and and owls and stuff like that. Like, I want to be able to do stuff like that. So I have like a lot of different ideas for this story, but that's the general plot. Is cowardly father, separated from his son, has to learn how to fight and build up the courage to be able to go save him, and then he goes and saves him. Where his son is naturally brave, but he's naive about how the world actually works, and then he gets a very rude awakening for the world, and even a mentor character, goes out and learns something about embracing tragedy and moving past his unfortunate circumstance. So a lot of it themes on courage and overcoming challenge. So that's generally the idea that I want to go with. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this rambling of my story idea. If you like it, let me know in the comments. It's early enough, I can definitely read all the comments. Just kind of let me know what you think. Maybe you guys can help me out with some of the magic system, maybe some of the world building elements, like names and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I will talk to you guys later, and hopefully next time hopefully soon, and I will have an update on kind of what I'm working on. So thanks.